So good evening, everybody. Today, I would like to discuss about the Article 32 of the CIG, which requires the seller to provide notice of consignment, specifying the goods if the goods are not clearly identified as a contract by markings on the goods, shipping documents, or otherwise. For example, the commentaries that I found on this article would be from Reflect Reimer Schwetzner, where the seller must notify the buyer of the consignment if goods are not clearly identified to the contract, and conclude the contract of carriage using appropriate means with the insurance required only if customary. So they highlight that failure to notify or provide necessary information for insurance can lead to claims for damages or contract avoidance if the breach is the fundamental. Another commentaries that I would like to share with you here that the Article 32 details the seller's obligation regarding to the delivery of goods, particularly the requirements to notify the buyer of the consignments if goods are not clearly identified as a contract, and to arrange appropriate contract for carriage. So the author of the commentary, the Pilz, emphasized that failure to fulfill this obligation can lead to breach of contract, and he underscored that the specific condition for insurance and the transportation depend on trade terms like Incoterms, which can modify or supplement the CIG provisions. And with respect to last commentaries that I would like to talk about today would be from Enderlein in Moscow, and the seller's obligation to notify the buyer of dispatch depends on whether the goods are clearly identified as a contract. So they are telling about it like as well as everybody. But they also note that the seller must choose the appropriate and the customary means of transportation. And while there is no general obligation to insure the goods, and the seller must provide necessary information to the buyer for insurance purposes upon like request, with the breaches of this obligation potentially resulting in liability. With respect to cases, I found the case from the Russian Federation of the Far East Area Federal Arbitration Court in 2006, where this Russian buyer disputed the quality and the terms of delivery of maize supplied by the US seller. And the importance of the Article 32 here, where this article requires the sellers to comply with the specific delivery terms, leading to the case being sent back for the comprehensive re-evaluation. Another very interesting case here happened in the Duisburg Court of San in the civil court in 1997, where the Austrian buyer and the Swiss seller disputed the mode of transport and final date of performance for a contract to transport some spirits to Russia, leading to the buyer to seek the repayment of an advance, and while the seller claimed the damages for breach of contract. So the court determined that under the provision 2 of the Article 32 of the CIG, the choice of transportation mode was left to the seller, as the buyer could not provide proof of any agreed method, highlighting the seller's discretion in arranging like transportation when the contract terms are unclear. And with respect to last case, it was happened in the Barcelona in the Spain, in the Provincial Court of Barcelona in the 14th division, and it happened in the 2002, where the court found that the Venezuelan seller fundamentally breaches the sales contract by failing to provide a necessary certificate of origin, thereby not placing the goods at the buyer's disposal as required. And the provision 2 of the Article 32 CIG was crucial in establishing the seller's obligation to arrange for the transportation of goods, and including providing the necessary documentation for exportation. So that was the last case on my review. Thank you for listening to me, and see you in the next videos.